I suppose last time when I was carrying this previous year's questions in my hand, so I was trying to show you that it's very important, first of all, to identify the parts of the question and do justice with each part as much as you can possibly do. So that was one thing that we did talk about, the parts of the question. The second thing which I was talking about last time is the components of singular and plural that we have in the question, so that accordingly the part which has got plurality of that, you have to spend more words there and more time there compared to the area which have got singular existence. So that singular plural thing, I hope it's all clear to you. The third thing which I like to mention is about identifying the core of the question. That's quite often has been an issue. That's I was talking about the mental Venn diagram. I would expect it to be making, because a lot of times we are not able to reach where the question is, and then we end up just going around and round and round, and then spend a lot of energy in getting to the demand of the question, and we, for a good part of our answer, we are actually writing, not answering. And I was last time telling you that there's a decent gap between answering and writing, so I would not like to write, I would like to answer. And marks is only for answers, not for writing, but whatever you know about that topic. And then that was the last thing that we did. And suppose after that we're supposed to go into something called as introduction. I was talking about that. Introduction quite often is speaks volume about what examiner can expect in the answer. And then a lot of time I have a feeling that we tend to internalize the question and we write the introduction. Like whatever I am supposed to understand from the question, I end up writing an introduction. That should not be the case. In fact, I like to give you a tool which is very easy and you can experiment it. It takes about 10, 15 seconds, 12 seconds. Read the question and after that give a positive command to yourself that I have to do. If I say like, you do this, alright, you may do it. But then if you tell 5 times, I have to do this, 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 then that gets like a little more effectively delivered. And that's something which is what I am keen on. Active command, that's what I call it. And this will also help you filter out the traps the questions quite often have. They will filter out a lot of things which you think that you will, it's not part of the question, but since they have made a question there, you end up writing that. Like for example, I can tell you, if I give a question, did I give you this trap practice, no? Just look at this question. This is I'm reading from 2014 question. This question says, drought has been recognized as a disaster in view of its spatial expanse, temporal duration, slow onset, and lasting effects on vulnerable sections. Maybe again, drought has been recognized as a disaster in view of its spatial expanse, temporal duration, slow onset, and lasting effects on vulnerable sections. The moment some people read it, they was like, alright, drought has come. And it's a special, I know, special bits area there. Temporal, I know when it takes place. Slow onset and lasting effect on vulnerable sections. Alright, social angle, farmer distress. With the focus on the September 2010 guideline from the National Disaster Management Authority, discuss the mechanism for preparedness to deal with likely El Nino and La Nina fallout in India. Can you see the question is where? And the statement is where? Absolutely disconnect. And there's so many disconnected questions keep coming these days. Split paper 2. I mean, this is what my personal research tells me. Why people will end up getting less marks? Because they're not able to realize what is being demanded. I think I can read some more question. The recent cyclone, I'm reading 2013 question. The recent cyclone on the east coast of India was called Falin. How are the tropical cyclones named across the world? Elaborate. Do you think that anything to do with the first part? But quite often there's a lot of trap that we have got. Look at this. Though India allowed foreign direct investment in what is called multi-brand retail through joint venture routes in September 2012, all very much getting specialized. FDI, multi-brand, and in 2012, the FDI even after a year has not picked up. Discuss the reason. They're not talking about FDI in retail, multi-brand retail that too. They're talking about FDI per se. So there are a lot of times that there are a lot of traps that they lay, and if you want, you can take this copy from me. I mean, you will find that there are lots of questions in which the question is somewhere else, while the entire thing, and we in introduction often end up writing about those distilling act which we mentally do. So what I basically advise you, the introduction should not be exhausted in distilling the theme that we have got. It should be there to the core, to the whatever extent that you can reach there. And then give some active command to yourself. In this question, I have to write about how the tropical cyclones are named. I have to give an example how the tropical cyclones, because that's elaborate. I have to write about how the tropical cyclones. If you say 3 times, I promise you cannot go wrong. You can possibly start an answer for naming a cyclone. There are multiple agencies which are involved, and then you will start on the. Otherwise, cyclone is a circulatory wind which is blowing in anti-clock direction in the northern hemisphere, and it is having lots of physics associated. I think we are so far away from the requirement of the question. So please, these are all advices I am giving you, all linked to answering. And then to be able to start closest to the core of the question, you have to first filter out the traps that you may possibly be having in the questions. And there are, do this research. I think if you want this page, I can give you after class, you can Xerox it. But then this is the angle I like you to look at the question. Like for trap, I may have kept a few questions. Like if you want, I can read one more. Like example, Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. This is 2015 question. Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, despite having divergent approaches and strategies, had a common goal of ameliorating the downtrodden, elucidate. So they take you in this lane and ask a question here. So a lot of students would get trapped by this word and then end up writing there. So what I'm saying is that when you're giving command to your mind that this I have to do, 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 this all will be filtered out, and you will come down to the point from where you have to write. Please do this practice back home. You all have got question booklets, plenty of them are available, and I suppose just play them out. I think I can possibly arrange a small booklet also from here, which is where we have decoded all the previous year's question from the subject wise, and then given some questions for practice also. So those questions which have already been asked, just play out in your mind that where is the question, where is the trap, where is this, and where I have to actually hit. The more you practice, the better it gets. It's not a knowledge, because this can be passed on like there's a trap. This information has been passed on, but it doesn't really get actually realized in the examination hall unless you have actually backed it up with lots of practice. So that's my request. I'll probably arrange that booklet also where we have. I'm not got enough copies here now. If not, then next week definitely we'll be having those copies where, and then all the dimensions that we have opened up for every topic. And further to that, I suppose the next thing comes is, of course, action command. Discuss the contribution of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad to pre and post independent India. Then if you say that, hey, I have to write about Maulana Abul Kalam Azad's this before and after independence. Before and after independence, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad's contribution. And if you say 3 times, and then you start writing, you're writing much close to that. Otherwise, you start Maulana Abul Kalam Azad was this, freedom fighter was this. And then your 3rd, 4th, 5th sentence is complete over the question. And that's quite often given an image to the examiner, oh, this boy, this girl has not understood my question. So that can be different. The same thing, the same trick I tell you when you're giving interview. Interview, I tell that you give a small pause between question and answer. When you're giving the pause between question and answer, and your mind is working super fast there, much more fast than what you're doing in the examination. The mistakes are bigger than mistakes. And then you are quickly able to really know the gravity and then accordingly start your answer. So the same trick I'm asking you for positive command. Give a command to your mind, and I'm sure how I got this is a different story. Maybe some other time I'll talk about it. Then I am going to go for introduction. Introduction. See, there is everybody talks about give an introduction, give a conclusion, write the main body. Everybody says that, and everybody has got its own take on that. That means it is very obvious. The way you would have heard one topper, the way you would have heard one teacher, the way you would have heard about another teacher is all very different, but they all converge to the same point. Yes, you must have introduction. Is that okay? So what I'm going to give you some tools which you can possibly use for writing your introduction. And then I normally would like to say that there are one is context. Context is one thing that you should include in the introduction that you have got. In what context that whole question has been presented to you. Then you must have reflection of the topic in the introduction on what topic that you are talking about. And then let's say context for Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad question that we have got post and pre independence. So that's the context that we have got. And topic is his contribution, right? And then we have got the purpose for which your question has been asked. I don't expect that you use all this CTP as I normally call it, all of them in all the answers. But sometimes you can pick C and T, sometimes T and P, sometimes you can have CTP. Just a sensitivity of this context, topic and purpose if you have got. You never starting an answer of the core. And that is what my request would be. Let's say for example, what is meant by judicial activism? Evaluate its role in the context of the functioning of Indian polity. Now there are two parts of the question. Now we have what is meant by judicial activism. The meaning is the context in which they are asking. The second context, evaluate its role in the context, the word is use context only, evaluate its role in the context, in the context of functioning of Indian polity. So Indian polity is the topic, judicial activism is the topic, and then you have got evaluation is the purpose. They could have given elaboration. They could have given as what they may have given it as discuss or describe. I hope the class is clear about all these words that we have got. So try not changing that. Topic remains same, and use replacement word for context, and use replacement word for purpose also. To evaluate, if they say evaluate, you can say to examine, to assess, to appraise. If you say some words like that, otherwise it becomes the same question, no? You repeat the same question. But then don't change the topic. Topic has to be same. The topic is judicial activism, and topic is also the Indian polity, functioning of Indian polity. So these two things should not be changed. But I would expect that you use replacement word for both of them, and then make a start of the question. I answering that you have got. Is this coming clear to you? So context, topic and purpose are the tools. You can use all three of them, or you can use any two of them, and then start off. I promise you will never be starting too far away, that you will have to struggle to get to the core of the question. Then I suppose when you are doing this introduction, one small caution: when there are sometimes we have got one part, two parts, sometimes three parts, four parts also of the question. Introduction is always of the answer, not the part of the question that you're writing first. So this is also one thing that we have to be borne in mind. A lot of time I've seen most of the students, they would give introduction of the aids, of the theme that they're going to write there. Like if I'm writing that what is judicial activism, the meaning of judicial activism is just in the start. Forgetting that is the next paragraph, they will write the second introduction. Please give him the flavor of the question being answered by giving as many parts, as many topics as they have got in the question. And that's a more wholesome introduction that we have got. Is it everybody very clear about this? Don't introduce the part of the question, introduce the question. Because it's one identity. And then conclusion also, I suppose, has to be having more of wholesome, all parts to be included, not just one part. But it's a very common trend. Almost everybody writes introduction of a part that they are first dealing with. So that has to be resisted. Then the second thing, which is what I am interested in you that you should be actually doing, is that concluding. I don't know why I feel that we can try doing this also in answer writing, also in essay writing. Most of the answers that I read, I see the flow of the answer goes like this. Like the biggest point, smaller point, smaller point, smaller point, and smallest point. That's how it ends. So possibly you are signing off from a point which is the weakest of your answer. And this is the last test in my mind that I have got when I'm going to give you marks. I think this is a thing which, with some consciousness, can be inculcated. I have told previous students, and some of them have really mastered this skill. Save the second most important point for the last. Sign off with the third. I suppose the answer should have a graph like this. Start with the most important, interesting point, but conclude with the second most important point. He's definitely going to really get you some marks more than you otherwise deserve. Don't end your answer with a whimper, like puss. You understand this word? So I think I would expect your answer to have something in the sort that through which you will be signing off. Similarly, for the essay writing also, I would recommend that you should save some trick up the sleeve, some fact up the sleeve, which you are going to end up with. And this is just a sensitivity. That's all it is. I mean, it's not something which cannot be done. I've made it done to so many people in the past. I'm sure you can also do it.
Sir,
I'm holding the camera, not you. Yes.
Sir, actually, we are advised many times to maintain the flow, and all points which we refer to write are interconnected some most of the time.
Absolutely.
If we take out the second point, and then there may be jumping.
If it is an organic essay, I'm not asking you to become anachronical. I'm not asking you to write something which is against the times order. I'm talking about the importance of the point. I hope you're getting that. You're not writing organic essay every time. I'll probably talk about a little bit how to organize essay. If you're writing organic essay, ancient, medieval, modern, present, or postmodern, whatever that you're writing, then I can't expect that you had the best point. But the powerful point that I have got, I would expect that you should be. And do you have chronology of time all the time there? I mean, if I'm talking about what the challenges of MP in the country is facing today, so I would say like the challenges are this challenge, but not the lowest challenge at the last. The second most important challenge at the last. I think it's possible. But of course, in organic essay or organic blog, you can't do much about that. Alright, is it something clear to everybody? And please save some extra time for conclusion. Because by the time you are in the concluding remark, you are mentally late for the next question. And most often I find the greed of writing one more point takes so much of toll on the conclusion. And then it's a very, very lousy conclusion that you have got. See, if some of you are thinking that somebody who gets 120 has got 9 and 10, I think that's in some question, it is something which you are looking for as in the wrong direction. I doubt that they are giving 9 and 10. So some question that you really think that, hey, I'm writing it so well that I can possibly scale 9 and upward of it, I think it is not possible. I think you are aiming at 6, and if some are falling at 5.5 or 5 for that matter, and somewhere you're going to 7, 7.5, which is beyond your control. You can't really plan for 9. 7 if you get in 1-2 question, which is beyond you, and you'll be surprised if you see. Here also in the evaluation, you may have seen some questions which you got more. They were not the one on which you spent maximum time as well. I was discussing somebody in the morning, and he was probably surprised on that fact. So it is largely your own assessment, which quite often, I think assessment of the grade, whatever they call it, the right word for it, which takes extra time. There's nothing like 9 marks existing anywhere. I hope you're getting that. Otherwise, some students writing 15 answers or 14 answers, I would have seen getting very high grade in the marks. Nobody has got. So I suppose keep that optimum level and start off with the answer and then take off decently, cruise so that you can land moderately. I suppose this is to be, of the 3 parts, the most important component. Landing is very, very important. Even if you write 1 point less, but then if you overshoot, it is bound to have a crash landing. I was telling you last time also. There has to be a decent, the kind of skill of the pilot is identified on the landing, no? Otherwise, if you can, just a few hours that you spend in the cockpit, you can take off easily. But landing is very important. Please, and the only reason why you falter is the greed of giving 1 more point. Please resist that. Because there's nothing like with 1 more point, you will cross that 8 marks, 9 marks for the thing which somebody has got. I doubt if anybody has been able to successfully achieve any one of them here. If I ask them to write 3 hours and get 9.5 marks. There's nothing like that exists in the mind of the question setter, it appears to me. I don't know if they got a written instruction or not, I have no idea. We're trying to replicate as and what happens there. So there's nothing like that exists. So please don't get to the greed of one more point. So suppose I would like you to, yes please.
So it is necessary to conclude in every question.
I would prefer that, yes. To me, concluding every question is very important.
Especially in the questions of geography, like if we ask what is the structure and mechanism of tropical cyclones, it is necessary to conclude.
Yes. I would like to round off the structure and mechanism of tropical cyclone. I would say that therefore these could be the dimensions through which one can understand the structure. So the soft landing is required. Some rounding off is needed. See, this problem I find also in the interview. I mean, it's the same person, the same UPSC. What they do is that they start the question and then make it a long journey and leave me here. No. It has to be actually rounded off. When your interview ends and answer ends, it must be where it started from. I hope you're getting that. So it is very, very important that you give a sense of completeness. It's like, it's more of an arrogant answer to me. I mean, I'm an old-fashioned previous generation, and most of the time, I mean, the people of my generation are sitting there evaluating it. And we have been time and again, and I have had exposure to the formal teaching of the university level also. I know the kind of people who react in my age in university. I still have most of my friends there only, not in coaching sector. And I know that they would prefer this, like rounding off, completing this. So those, of course, there may be some good examples, some students only write points and then come back. And they may have got good marks only. But I think my data is bigger than any single example that you may have got like that. So please conclude this. Right? Yes, please.
So if it necessary to complete all pages in an answer, like 2.5 sides, suppose we write bigger so that it looks complete.
That's a visual trick that you want to apply on that. I think, to my understanding, if writing about 170, 160, even if it is not complete, because I can't expect you to change your style of writing and handwriting size, etc. That doesn't affect me. Because I'm talking about UPSC, I was committed to say that the words are not important, content is important. That's in written given to you. So capitalize on that. And most of the toppers' answer that you're receiving, how much they are writing? Are they writing all full end to end? Are they writing what we call it as 200 plus words? So I think. And this is not old examples, they're like the current market trend. I'm giving the current market trend and then it works. I think it should work for you also. But I think, yes please.
Sir, is it desirable to use that hence, therefore, in conclusion part?
You can, but then it should not be like too repetitive in every question. Sometimes it may just be slightly beyond your age. Therefore, it must be concluded. Those two sentences have to be avoided. Hence, that's absolutely fine. They're very liberal people. Unless you have kind of forced them to accept whatever you are only saying. The most important conclusion that can be drawn from this is a close sentence. I say like, hey, how can you say that? One of the most important conclusions that can be drawn thus is absolutely fine. Keep the sentences open. Avoid using the word we. Unless it is like we in our constitution. Use third person, one. That's the right way of doing it. Especially when you are having opinions. Our constitution, our country, absolutely fine. But as we understand, as we opine, that's something which is debatable and controversial. I would not like to go too much into that. I suppose coming back onto with my experience in the past of answer writing, I have identified the 3 tools through which you can land better. And then, I just now mentioned to you, there is something called as topic that you have got. Let's say the topic is, say for example, cottage industry. But the theme is economy. Are you able to get that? The topic is, say for example, education, but theme is human resource. The topic is pollution, the theme is environment. Are you getting that? So I would expect that when you have got a topic, please start as far possible close to the topic and then write about it. But there is a possibility that examiner may be expecting a particular vista of this score that you may have missed. So when you conclude close to the theme. So that something which is like some holisticness, some wholesomeness comes in that answer. So the tools which I like to have, so which I expect that you should be concluding your answer is theme. Like one component is theme. Like you can see here, let's say in respect of India-Sri Lanka relation, discuss how domestic factors influence foreign policy. India-Sri Lanka relation is the topic, no? And theme is India's foreign policy. Are you able to get that? So that is a bigger one that I have got, a theme that I can possibly expect. You can think of many more like that. Upliftment of the neglected section society will be best served with many more centers of the Indira Gandhi National Tribal University. Expand on the observations made. Can you read this? Upliftment of the neglected section society will be best served with many more centers of Indira Gandhi National Tribal University. Expand on the assertion made. The topic is that university and tribe. That is the topic that we have got, and theme is what? Inclusive growth. Are you able to get that? So please, when you land with a major point, in which if there are some minor points, if you are talking about inclusive growth, some of the other factors that may have been missed out, the person would still give. They're very generous people, trust me. Most of you are very honest to yourself. And look at your own answer. I'll tell you how to look at your own answer. You will end up giving less marks if you're honest to yourself. Yes, I'll tell you just now in a few minutes that how to analyze your own answers. And that's what we try telling the team that who is evaluating your answer to look from these dimensions. And they are also generous. But then I'll let you know the why. Is that same thing clear to you?
That introduction should be linked topic.
Introduction should be close to the topic. Topic should be introduction. Otherwise, if you start from the theme, let's say starting from India's foreign policy, I may end up writing Panchsheel. I may end up writing about contribution of Pandit Nehru. I may have written United Nations membership and whatnot. So coming to that would be exhaustive. But if I'm talking about this and then ending up here, the wholesomeness in my answer comes. I hope you got that. So that's one, the theme. And the second thing that we have got is flow. This is one issue which a lot of the students are not able to get that. The questions always have a flow. In fact, even those essay topics have a flow. I'll give you some examples of that in a while. So look at the flow of the question. You must write in the direction of the flow of the question. What is the future of coalition form of government in India? So you cannot go a reverse flow that we have had some bad experiences of coalition government in the past. The flow is going in this direction. Future. So you have to write in that direction itself. Let's say here itself, upliftment of the neglected section society will be best served with many more centers of Indira Gandhi National Tribal University. Expand on the assertion made. Flow is many more. So you cannot revert back and then talk about that particular institution. You getting that? Many more in the flow. So you look at the flow and some sensitivity of flow should come in your answer. Then we need some more, maybe it will be effective. In respect of India-Sri Lanka relations, discuss how domestic factor influence foreign policy. Influence foreign policy. It is influencing today. The throw is to the current. So you have to see the throw going past, throw going to present, and throw going to the future. So that anchoring is required as part of your concluding remark. And the third thing is that play out yourself, concern. See, whatever, wherever, what kind of question, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, irrespective, I am looking at you as a future civil servant. You've been hired by the nation, wherever in whichever department, is for the civil services. So your concern for the society must be reflected in your answer. That is like a wholesome conclusion for me, that you playing out yourself, your concerns have been duly addressed, like your concerns would find a fantastic location to look for some stock words there is preamble of the Constitution, that includes the state policy, or Constitution per se. I mean, they are like some places where you can find a lot of points exhibiting your concern on that issue. Is that coming clear to you? So concern should be given a very high top priority. And in fact, connected with the role that you are actually, you writing, no? Some imprint of you should come in this. And these are the three things: theme, throw, and concern are the tools that I like. CTP, context, topic, and purpose. Don't get too mechanical about it. If you get too mechanical about it, no, I have to write about theme, I've write about throw, I've write about, it becomes very, very awkward. But if you are naturally having this sensitivity, and then when you look at the previous year's question or the questions per se, just look at them and then try and see as to what best can be done about it. And that's the way I like you to proceed on it. Is it coming clear? Theme, is that not clear? So, is that where you are anchoring to the future, to the past? There could be a lot of them. They could be for the past. So, what are the experiences that India has had in the existence of Anti-Defection Act? So, throw is to the reverse that we have got, but concern will be present. So that throw thing is also very, very important tool of the. Now, I suppose another thing which I basically was keen that you should be very clear about it in answer writing is all the command words that we have in the questions that we have got: evaluate, assess, examine. Any word which is what you have got difficulty in, that I would like to go back and then have them explain. Sorry? Enumerate. Enumerate goes very close to describe. Enumerate, describe, and what, and count, not account. They are like, when you talk about this is all enumerate. Numbering that we have got. Enumerate the causes which have been responsible for the higher incidences of crime against women. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that.
Analysis part is not required.
Analysis is not asked. They're just asking for enumerate. Analysis is like you are having positives, negatives, and your own views also there. Here, enumeration is more of a kind of factual listing of the things that we have. Any other? Yes. Examine, evaluate, assess, appraise. They're all interchangeable. Examine, evaluate, assess, appraise. We're expected to write about positives and negatives of the particular thing. Anything positive, examine somebody, like you're interviewing somebody, going into a room, look at the good part of the person, bad part of the person, and that's it. That's what the main body. These are all for the main body, right? These all command words are like, of course, in the introduction also will come as purpose. So, examination is the purpose for which this topic has been picked up.
The discussion will be doing what we need to incorporate more things, and rules of view.
Yes, about what?
Discussion.
Discussion is probably the most common of all.
Yeah.
And that's the trickiest of all. See, describe is like you're talking about the constituents, what it comprises of. And discuss is interfacing, connecting always with something which what it is related to. So discuss is interfacing, and interfacing, the closest word that comes to my mind is impact. So they quite often in interview room they would end up asking you, describe yourself. So you say like, my name is this, my mother's name, my father's name, my email address, my phone number, my education. That's what is describing. But they would ask you to discuss yourself. I have done this, I have done that, I have done that. So the impact component would come as part of discuss. Discuss the performance of the Prevention of Corruption Act. Describe the Prevention of Corruption Act. So describe is the constituents of the Prevention of Corruption Act, and discuss is how much it has been effective, what kind of impact has. Sometimes they say critically discuss, then you have to go for the negative ones. But never ever forget, whenever you're writing negative, you writing negative is more important. You is the centerpiece here, and you cannot be too cynically negative. Constructive negative is what I'm expecting. Your answer should always, even if I'm asking you to be critical, even if I'm asking you to be negative, but then positively negative, that's what I'm expecting you to be. Alright? I suppose after that, the last thing which I like you to take it through is something as self-analysis. I'm sure you people are, yes please.
If they ask to justify this statement, then we have to conclude that statement or solution because that.
To justify, you have to have logic. But one more thing is that I would like to assess here is, like a lot of time, what in your opinion is this and that? See, the life is full of shades of grey than black and white. So what I expect that your logic should precede your stand. What is your, do you think it is good or bad? Give your opinion. It is bad and then you write no. Or it's good and then you write no. Let your logic should do the job so that you don't have to commit at any place. So logic should be always given whenever your opinion or stand is asked. And then appreciate the shade of grey more than black and white. That's what that's what life is all about. And here's a small list of tools that I like to give to all of you to assess your questions and see how much marks you give to yourself. One tool that I like to see, you've written your own answer. I'm sure I requested you people and you're writing 21 answers every day. Please do that. I'm sure in sitting in the examination hall, you'll have somewhere to thank me. If you're writing 21 answer every day, 7 answer in the first hour, 14th answer in the second hour, and 21st answer in the third hour. Because all of you, at one stage or other, would get a feeling that I think in the 8th question I should have written that, and you're writing 13th question now. But you just too tight for you to go back to 8th and write that. But that thing will be there, and then when you're writing 20th, he's already standing in front of you to collect the copy. But if you have practiced for 21 question, I promise that you will not go wrong. Just a simple promise. Please do this practice. 7th question, 14th question and 21st question is what is your status of preparedness today for the main exam that we're going to give a few weeks later. Maybe a lot of time. I think they say months. No? Months? No, not months.
What about the practicality of writing 21 answers daily? This is for 3 months. Means it takes 3 hours.
3 hours.
And you take
For what it takes 3 hours?
to write all the stuff. And
So what you end up doing there in the examination hall?
this is what it is here just to be.
You only write there. You don't write your best answer. You don't write all the facts that you're collecting or too greedy to collect tonight. Any fact has got 1 upon a trillion chance of being asked. So I tell you, that's the truth. But I'm giving you a tool which has got 1 upon 1 chance of being used. Trust me, these answers are not the brilliant, super duper answer that you end up getting. 55% is all that you get for topping the country. So they are not super duper brilliant answer for which you are very hungry to collect some more facts. Those answers don't exist. But I can write better than average answer all of them, is what I'm interested in. Or just about average, 55 is what is. I do than an average, no? So please practice that. And then I suppose make these flags 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. See you're reaching 7th question or not. See you're reaching 14th question or not, or 21st question or not. And if you're ending up at 5th question only, 6th and 7th has to be 0-0. That's very important. And then you start with 8th in the next hour and end wherever. And ask your mind, train your mind that what was the culprit question for which I could not write the 7th. You'll find that culprit in 3rd question, which you thought that I'll cross 9 marks barrier. And you laugh at your own answer, what I was doing, for what it will not help me cross 9. I am sure you all know that. So that training that you're giving to yourself, I wanted to run practicing on sand, on the beach with some water also, so that you run much faster. So that you after writing the 20th question, you can go to the 8th question I was talking about, or the 5th question, and then maybe still improvise a little bit around that. That's my entire grade is there. And you find the grade of 9 marks for some question I'll write and then probably cross. To my understanding, they don't give 9 marks to anybody. I don't have any inside information. Nobody has any inside information. But the kind of scores that you get, you don't expect people to cross on that. Alright, these are the tools through which I would like you to edit your own answer. Especially 7th, 14th and 21st. I'll be very happy if you can possibly fix up a time with me and sit down, and then I'll look at the 7th question, 14th question and 21st question. And please see if there is an extra word in a particular question. Extra words are very killing. That if I drop this 6, 7, 8 words in my answer still stands. Just editing thing will help you acquire some skill for writing lesser extra words in the next question. I hope you're getting that. The second thing, ask for extra sentence. Look for extra sentence. If I omit these 2 sentences, my answer will still stand because I was writing, I was not answering. So those questions which are written, not part of the answer, you easily drop them, answer will still stand. So identify those sentences, and this mind is acquiring some signals. Hey, I should have not written this line. I should have not written this extra word. The third thing, ambiguity of expression. You'll find surprise that you yourself are not able to understand that what you wanted to say in this question. Any sentence which is an ambiguity of expression, please ensure that next time it doesn't happen. And in most of the cases, to my understanding, it happens when I become over-ambitious, giving 3-4 ideas together. When you say that the cause of poverty in our country is agricultural dependence, which is extremely dependent on the manual labor, and absence of commercialization because of technological input being slow, has been a major factor of rural economy being commercialized. Or do you understand from this? And see, when you are living that idea, it was beautifully passing through your mind, one after another, comma, semicolon, it was helping. But this has become a very ambiguous sentence. I would like you to ensure that it don't do any one of those. Is that coming clear to you? Then we have got another. Sometimes the words that are difficult to read has to be very carefully taken care of. That's something which are very and grammar. My generation is very particular about grammar. So I think we learn English the most difficult possible way. I'm sure active, passive, direct, indirect. Ask your mom and dad, they will tell you the way we learned English. You have not done any one of them, but then we are so well trained on those that I want to see them actually being the punctuations. There were a few classes only on punctuations we used to have, and then a few classes only on narrations that we used to do. Do you know there's something called as nested grammar also? I don't think I doubt that most of you haven't seen the book of grammar. And we had to have some classes after classes, year after year, only grammar being taught. So my generation is touchy about it. So, and you mostly are casual sometimes. So please ensure that you're not casual about the grammar part of it. And then spelling part of also I'm touchy about. So that has to be careful about. Then also, fifth thing I like you to check is that have you attended to all the parts of the question or not? Quite often some parts of the question being attended, some parts are left out. So you ensure that all parts have been duly attended or not. Then also singular plural, I told you a little while ago, that singular plural of the question, if some parts got singular, it has to be given less importance in the answer, and the plural has to be given more importance. Quite often it is driven by our comfort level of the question. The question we are more comfortable, we end up writing more. Irrespective of the facts, that was a lesser point. Like let's say, what are the causes of regional imbalance? What is the step taken to attend to that? I know lots of causes, I'll write lots of causes here. But then if I select what is the cause of regional imbalance and what are the steps taken, so now the whole question gets reversed. So it should not be driven by a comfort level, it should be driven by the demand of the question. So singular plural. Then introduction. Is it reflecting CTP? That's another test that you can give to yourself. This is all training. And I am underlining this with due respect to all the toppers of the country, that it's one thing very certain, that it's not the highest knowledge person who would get the highest marks in things. It is the person who really knows how to really carry himself. That is which is important. So try and see CTP, try and see the PTC in the conclusion. This is just a sensitization that you have to do to yourself. You also try and see the word limit. That have I taken the word limit or not? Word limit that doesn't mean that undershooting. I would say undershooting is better than overshooting. Because overshooting is basically you wrote, you did not answer. And I am a firm believer of the fact, if you understand the question, you can barely meet the required word limit. if you understand the question. But you get into teaching. Like if I say, what is the cause of regional imbalance and what are the steps taken? Region is a homogeneous piece of land which can be identified on many parameters, which is identified in some cases as compass also. I mean, if you have got your geography knowledge, you want to impress somebody, there's no way that you can possibly get marks for that. There also time limit. I'm sure you people know about the fact that the first hour is going to be really tough for 7th question because of the initial settlement and the flow, and then maybe some of those whatever entry job that they make you do. But then here when you're practicing for 7, there you must have gone crossing 6th question. Anything under 6th question is fatal. So that's something which is what I like you to ensure that. So time limit, now you know that how much time that you have got for every question. And I'm repeatedly, I know I'm repeating it 4th time, there's no 9 marks question that you can ever get. I hope you got that. You may experiment now writing some questions in half an hour and give it to us and see if you get 9. I mean, you all know that, you don't need to experiment. So there's nothing like that you should be mentally chasing for, giving extra time to a question that otherwise does not deserve. Then also, factual build-up is one of those 15 points that I have got written here. And this is what is probably is your real worry. Some more data, some more facts. It's sometimes it's not even required. If your analysis is good, I mean, you don't need to really substantiate with some data. Factual build-up of the points that you have got. Some people have got some standard data. No, 4 points must be there, 5 points must be there. You may have got some advices. I think if you have conveyed what you wanted to convey, why counting the points? So that's something which is what I believe in. Then also, the 12th point that I like to take up is purpose treatment. Purpose treatment like elucidate or illustrate or evaluate or whatever, narrate or account of or account for, all these words that we have got. You have properly treated or not, just evaluate. And then I think by now you must be having been brain that, hey, do I really write my answer or not? You try testing, and I promise UPSC is more generous. They give you more marks. If you test all these pointers and deduct marks for yourself, you will end up giving less marks than what UPSC gives you. Purpose treatment has been proper or not. Then also, when you have really written an answer, try looking at the answer and try and see, does it have some X factor? I think you've met so many toppers of the country, so many IAS officers have met you the recent time, and you know a lot of them. They're so different from each other. Have you noted that? And all my life I've seen so many of them getting so much marks in their life. They are so dissimilar, so diverse, except for one thing. Each one of them had some X factor. And that X factor has to be there. When you look at a question, you can say like, hey, I mean, do I have got something as some X factor in this? Some X factor, give some signal to the examiner to give at least 1 mark more. I mean, that X factor, an X factor can be like, I give 2 examples here, a keyword. I mean, what do you call that? Hatke in Hindi, no? Hatke. I mean, I don't expect too much hatke. That would be derived. But then some X factor has to be there. A keyword or a key fact, a key data. And this sensitization you can possibly develop as you are writing. Some X factor has to be there. And those who top the country definitely have got their own X factor. And you can master your own X factors there. You can go plan for it. Like in these kind of themes, those stock points that I've got, these are my X factors this time point. I'll be using them somehow or other. It is your answer. You can always contextualize and give it. And then 14th thing that you should be looking at, do we have a closed sentence here? Closed sentence is like the most important, the first and the foremost, etc. Those words should not be there. Like as we think is a closed sentence, no? Why should I think the way you want to think? As one may think. So that way I would like you to pick up that. So there shouldn't be any closed sentence in the answer that you have got. And the last question that you should ask yourself, is this a piece of magnum opus? Is my best performance or can I do it better? This is a beautiful answer. A question that you can ask yourself. Look at your answer and you will definitely find something. Yes, this is how if I tweak it, it will become better. Give this training to yourself. Please fight the greed of collecting some more facts, memorizing some more facts. Look at your own answer and ask question to yourself that how can I do it better? How can I do it better? Some internal suggestion that comes from you is far more important and significant compared to those comments that you get from us. That hey, I can do it better this way. You're not finished product, no? Yeah? I mean, you're not finished product, and your answer is not something which cannot be improved by you only. Only thing is that, did I give myself a chance to improve it? Ask yourself that, how can I improve it? And these are the 15 angles, and if you find some answers, get some tools, might as well execute them in the next time. So this is how I would like you to approach this.